Right, I chose student diversity for Project 2. This all starts pretty much with socioeconomic status. That's basically just a combination of a person's income, occupation, education, and place in society. But however, it's mostly just a combination of income and education. Because the higher education level the person receives, the more prestigious occupation that they can get, then that relates to a higher income as well. And there's 3 levels of SES, upper, middle, and lower. Upper and middle class students, they have more of an advantage over the lower class students in schools, typically because it's mostly just because of availability of resources and the values of the parents that they instill in their children. Influences to education. Schools are mostly oriented to around the middle class values, so they want to compete for grades, attention, praise, and then also individual work are all part of the expectations in a school system. The lower SES students struggle with this because of value differences within themselves. They're more interested in cooperating with peers than they are competing, so they would rather work in groups than and help each other out than they would to leave each other high and dry. And so as a result, these lower SES students are mismatched to the classroom. So really, we have to use some cooperative learning strategies at times to kind of communicate with and kind of allow those lower SES students to show their values and to work with their values instead of just mismatching them all the time. And we also need to support their literacy skills because they're not getting a lot of literacy enrichment at home. Also, interventions can help that kind of develop the cognitive skills early so that they don't fall further and further behind, because that's a slippery slope. Once you're behind in school, it's really hard to catch back up. And then also small group instruction, one-on-one tutoring, and family support. If we can get the parents involved to establish positive relationships, that would be really good to kind of just reinforce what's going on at school at home. We can send home newsletters, give positive home calls to give some positive reinforcement, and then family workshops to show the parents exactly what we need to do at home to kind of go along with what we're doing at school. And then there's also underrepresented groups, mostly just race and ethnicity and genders. So African Americans, Latinos, and Native Americans are underrepresented in schools, as well as females, especially in the math and science classes. Those 2 groups of people become academically inferior typically because of cultural values or a gender bias that don't really go along with the middle class values. Upper class students also tend to attend the private schools, so they kind of leave the lower SES students all to attend the same school with the lowest quality teachers, lowest quality resources, so they just kind of don't really get the best education that they deserve. And there's also a stereotype threat that can occur, which that is a phenomenon where students fulfill the stereotypes that they have on themselves. This could be really true for African Americans and girls in science. So to avoid this, we can never express how we feel about a student, whether we think that we never can allow them to see that we think that they're better at one thing than they are another. So, for example, we need to bring in some people who are successful in those underrepresented groups to overcome this and try to avoid it. We also need to give them the same opportunities as well. But we could bring in successful people. For example, we could bring in an African American who is a CEO, a successful businessman. On the other hand, we could also bring in a female doctor or a scientist to show those girls that it is possible for them to achieve in science, and to show the African Americans that it is possible for them to be successful in the business world. So just giving them some positive role models would be really beneficial for them. There's also diversity in intelligence. Gardner's multiple intelligence it tells us that individual has a combination of strengths, so it's not just one thing that they tend to. And teachers need to be aware of the intelligence differences in the classrooms as well, because we could allow students to give their own choice in education so that they could choose what they tend toward. But we need to allow them to make the same product, just give them a different route of getting there. So in conclusion, teachers have got to recognize that there are individual differences in the classroom. We're not all the same. So we need to be treated differently in the class. And we need to allow those differences to kind of guide our instruction. We've also have to make sure that we have the same expectations and opportunities for all students, no matter their backgrounds, their gender, no matter where they come from. We've got to give everybody the same opportunity, and we have to recognize that there are differences in our classrooms. And with that, we should all get an equal education. Thank you.